It is such a frustration and a hassle and takes so much time. What? Cooking from scratch. And I'm actually with you on this, and I hear this all the time. Because it's an issue for me as well, I have an idea that I want to share with you today of how to decrease the time and the hassle in the kitchen. In fact, it's going to be a two-part series. And just for fun, I'm going to time myself as I do this. Welcome. I'm Sheri Trexler with ViREO Life, author of Go Forward 28 Days to Eat, Move, and Enjoy Life God's Way. And in addition to what I'm going to be sharing in this series, if you want more tips on how to decrease the time and the effort and the hassle in the kitchen, just email me at sheri@thevireolife.com. Because this is something that I deal with as well, I am sharing with my emails community the 10 ways that I have learned to increase the enjoyment and decrease the hassle in the kitchen. A lot of people are surprised that, in fact, I had a friend who told me this. He said, I just imagined you in the kitchen every night cooking up these delicious gourmet meals from scratch and really enjoying every moment of it. And I really don't. If I had my druthers, I would be in the kitchen doing that about once a week, once every 2 weeks. So I want to share with you the 10 ways I've learned to do that, and I'm only sharing that with my email subscribers. So be sure to email me, Sheri@thevireolife.com, and I will get that to you. Now let's talk about the particular hassle of food processor, and especially food processor cleanup. This thing is a jiffy to be able to get everything made, but wow, it is so time consuming to move all the little parts and clean all the blades and the discs and everything. So I really only want to do that once. For me, that means I ask myself 5 questions. After I've done a menu plan, and that is something that I talk about in some other videos and series of getting a menu plan together for a powerful plate. Once I have all of that and I know what needs to be processed for that week is first question, what is dry-ish? May not be a dry food, but a vegetable that just needs to be sliced, vegetables to be grated, cheese that can be grated, anything that's dry-ish that's not going to leave a lot of gunk in here so I don't have to rinse it out because that's part of the hassle. Second is, what is bland-ish? So if I know that I'm going to be making a nut butter, but I'm doing vegetables before that, I'm not going to do my onion or garlic processed in here before I do a nut butter, because pecan butter that tastes like onion, you may like it, I can't imagine liking that. So what's dry, what's bland, and then third is what flavors go together. On the second part of this video series, when I'm taking you through the recipes, the nut butter comes before the pesto. The pesto comes before the bread, because I don't mind if the bread has a little bit of basil or oil or pine nut flavoring in it. And I also don't mind if the pesto has a little bit of pecan butter that's left in there. It's not going to affect it. So that is what's next, is what flavors will go together. Then what can you process in bulk? Because the less you have to clean this monster, the better. What can you process in bulk and freeze? Such as the pesto. I can go to my garden, get out a mound of basil, make up pesto for the entire winter, and only have to clean this up one time. And if I'm not making the pesto, at least I can go ahead and prep all the basil, which you'll see how I prep the basil to make fresh pesto, and the basil is frozen that I made this last summer. And then after I look at what can be made in bulk and frozen as is, then I look at what can be made in bulk, processed, cooked, and then put in the freezer. So if that is something prepping for some soups, maybe it's spices that you're putting together and blending together for some soups. Maybe it is a bread that you're making. I mentioned the basil and pesto coming before bread. So if I'm making a dough, some type of batter in the food processor and then baking, I can go, in fact, I always do this. I go ahead and bake for 2, sometimes 3 weeks at a time. And then it's done and it's in the freezer and I don't have to do that anymore. So ask yourself those 5 questions. Then you don't even have to rinse this thing until you are completely done. And then you only have to wash it once. In the next video that I take you through, we're going to go through 4 recipes that I go back to back in the food processor without ever having to take it apart. Thanks so much for watching. Remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want these videos first, and also subscribe to my email community if you want all the bonuses and extra handouts that I have for you. Thanks so much, and until next time, find your path and fulfill your potential.